Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking NBA playoffs, and we've had some great games so far. Hoping that trend continues with the next round of games. We've got the Celtics and the next Nets going on out east, where the Nets are big favorites, some -9.5 at home. Total is 227. We've got Kurt Alexander here, breaks one all down for us. Kurt, first game between these two, it looked like the Celtics were actually going to win, but then the Nets poured it on, late in the game. Big three scored like 80-something points combined. So the Nets, we know they have the offense, but the Celtics hanging tough in the first half. Who do you like, or what's the play here?
I actually like the Celtics in this game, Chelsea. But about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told him, I said, you know what? I'm so tired of this Brooklyn Nets team. That's all we hear about. They get these superstars, and everybody wants to go play with Brooklyn. LaMarcus Aldridge. Everybody wants to be a Brooklyn Net and just put on a championship ring. And I think chemistry is like really important. And one of the teams that I wanted them to play was the Boston Celtics. But it's almost like be careful what you ask for, because at that time they still had Brown in the lineup, and now Jaylen Brown is not in. He's out for the season, and Boston's really going to have to look for offense and defense from some other players. The first game, Boston did have the lead. It was kind of a choppy game to start off. Brooklyn, I believe they were 0 for 11 in the first half. The shooting really wasn't there on either side. I'm looking for both teams to kind of get their groove and get their offense going in game number two. And if you're giving me the Boston Celtics with almost double digits in a playoff game, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to take it. I think Boston played this team very tough. I think Boston does have the players with Fournier, with Kemba Walker, with Tatum to kind of match Brooklyn with the scoring. We've seen Boston put up some huge numbers this season, and if that's the style of game that Brooklyn wants to play, I think that Boston could definitely match them. But when it comes to the defensive side, I think that's where Boston has the advantage. Like I said, Boston had the lead in the first half of this game, and things just kind of fell apart in the second half. I think if they regroup and they kind of fixed some errors that they made. They only scored 20 points in the third and only scored 20 points in the fourth, and that's just not going to cut it. And I don't believe that was more Brooklyn's defense. I believe that was more Boston's lack of offense. So if you're going to give me 9.5 points, they only lost by 9 the last game. You're going to give me 9.5 points. Like I said, Brooklyn's everybody's favorite right now, but they didn't really look that impressive. I saw some chemistry issues. Things got better in the second half, but that's also because of Boston's failure to score in the second half. So yeah, give me the 9.5 with the Boston Celtics.
Right. I think that's the key for me is almost double digits in the playoffs, because we've seen in some of these games look like they were going to be blowouts. And then teams would come back, in the third and fourth quarters, because the NBA is a game of runs. No lead seems ever safe. And I think it was the Grizzlies Jazz game, because I almost turned it off. I was like, oh, this is a blowout. The Grizzlies are going to win by 20. But what do you know? They gave up that lead. So I think when you're talking about the playoffs, 9.5 points is certainly a lot of points to lay. That being said, I figured there would be some rust with the Nets. I'm wondering if they come out a little bit smoother in game two, because the big three didn't really play most of the season together.
Exactly.
And that being said, they really only need two of those three guys to be on to be really a threat offensively. So it will be an interesting one to watch here. Any thoughts on a total of 227?
Yeah, I actually was looking at that total, and I'd like to take this game over. Like I said, the Celtics scored 20 in the third, 20 in the fourth. That's not going to happen in game number two. I think Boston should really feel that they could push the issue offensively against this Brooklyn team and kind of put the pressure on the Brooklyn Nets, as opposed to taking the lead and kind of hoping that Brooklyn continues to miss shots. I think if Boston continues to push the tempo, Tatum didn't have a good game. We've seen Tatum put up 50. Kemba only had 15 points. Fournier, I believe, he only had 10 points. I think this Boston team is a live dog for this. And I love an underdog. I love an underdog story of my life, actually. So I think that the Boston Celtics are definitely a live dog in this game. And I'm not buying the Brooklyn Nets and how they look on paper. Like you said, they just, how many games have they played together? And are you really just going to count on the big three? Yeah, I look for this.
Well,
to
they
be,
probably will,
one of those games.
but they're so good. But
Yeah,
the thing is, it's 9.5 points. Nobody,
Right.
no one's caring to blow anyone out, especially when there's another game, that they're thinking about in the
Yes.
back of their mind. They're not going to try to blow teams out. And if they are, they're going to sit some guys. I just think 9.5 is a lot of points to lay in the playoffs.
It's definitely a lot of points. There's no, even for Brooklyn. Like I said, Brooklyn. Yes, we understand their offense, but playoff games also defenses. They're like a grind. If you look at that Knicks game, you look at that Lakers game. These teams are going to grind it out. Possessions mean more in the playoffs. It's not a regular season games where you just played the night before and you're already thinking about your day off. It's not like that at all. They shorten their lineup. You shorten your bench. Not everybody's going to get a chance to play. They're probably going to only rotate 7 to 8 players. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a grind. I think Boston comes back and tries to steal one in Brooklyn.
Right. Either way, I will be tuned in. Always great insight from Kurt Alexander. That's going to do it for our NBA talk here on Picks and Parlays. Thanks again, Kurt. All right. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to be notified every time we post a new video or go live, just hit that bell and turn on notifications.